Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Talking Assistant. Hashtag Talking Ass on Facebook. We come in through the back door and probe deep into Dylan's thoughts in his raw confessional videos that he posts on YouTube every week. Joining me, of course, is Kelly, the Kelly. Say hello to everyone.
Hey everybody, it's Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and I'd like to just note for the listening audience that we did not approve any of the ad copy that Mike just shared about Talking Ass.
Kelly just
of course. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say he took all of the fun out of what Mike just said. But hey, and Mike was going to introduce me, so I'll introduce myself. I am Tony Solo on Twitter, and we're talking about one of our favorite shows, The Assistant.
Absolutely. Hashtag Talking Ass. Now, we're going to start this week talking about episode 9, and I just have to say, speaking for myself personally, this was a game changer for me. Are you guys on the same page there?
I say it stands out amongst all the Talking Assistant episodes so far, quite a bit.
I'm going to tell you, I basically laughed my ass off watching the whole episode because it was 3 minutes and 14 seconds of Dylan getting his ass kicked. The name of the episode is called Battle, but there was an invisible, unseen assailant that basically kicked Dylan's ass throughout his whole house, up and down stairs, sofas. My favorite part was, and I'm going to frame this by saying this happened to me, but he needed a weapon, so he picked up a lightsaber. That is a toy, like if it was a real lightsaber, it was like cool. But I had a similar occurrence in my own real life where was upstairs in bed, and my wife wakes me up and she says, "I hear something downstairs." And I was like, it's nothing. I hear something downstairs. So she's like, go up, go see what it is. And I didn't have anything. I went into our master bathroom, and there was a plunger there. So I'm going downstairs armed with a loaded plunger, so to speak.
A loaded one?
It was loaded because it had been used. Not 2 minutes before, but it had been used. And so the funny thing is, my wife kicks me out of bed and says, "Go downstairs." I hear a noise, and then I grab the plunger and I'm start to go downstairs, and she's like, "You're not going to go downstairs with just a plunger, are you?" I was like, "This is what I got," I went downstairs. It was nothing. What had happened was we were having some kind of a storm, and the screen door didn't latch, so it was kind of banging, and that was the noise that my wife heard. But subsequently, I do have an aluminum baseball bat under my bed now because of that. But, in any kind of situation, you're going to grab whatever's right there.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you and your family were safe, and that's why I advocate gun ownership. Kelly, did this episode have any personal meaning to you?
Like I said, it was. I marveled at Dylan's commitment to advancing the storyline with this battle. I'm a little disappointed that Jinx seemed fairly indifferent to the raging battle that was going on
Perhaps, though, Jinx wasn't indifferent, but because Dylan can only hear him speak in his head, we have not yet been privy to what he and Jinx conversed about telepathically.
Could be. It also could be that Jinx was looking out the front door. I'm not sure. That was the part. But no, I think the no personal stories to tie to it. Although, if we go back to our Snarkalic Radio days, when we had a guest on, and I'm sorry, I'm losing. She came on with Greer Bishop.
Yvette Vargas?
Yvette Vargas. I'm sorry, Yvette. It just didn't come to me. And I had mentioned when we were watching her show that one of her characters picked up a curling iron for a big battle. So it's not without precedent that you grab what's available and goes forward. So, but it was nice. It was a nice Star Wars tie-in. Hope he's got merchandise stuff covered.
Well, now see, what I found interesting about the whole thing is, first off, the battle itself was incredibly entertaining, obviously. But what was great about it is I felt like he took us on an entire roller coaster of emotions as well as advanced the story. Because in the episode previous to that, we ended on a bit of a cliffhanger where Dylan's initially attacked. We pick up the episode, the heat of the battle begins. And it's very dramatic, it's very dark. But then as he begins moving around the house and bouncing off of things, it takes on an almost Evil Dead, playful, sort of tongue-in-cheek tone. And then, of course, I'm laughing, I'm going along with it. But then later in the video, there's a moment where Dylan is knocked face down onto the ground. And he's grunting and moaning deeply. And to me, the video at that point takes on a much darker tone. Did you guys pick up on that?
I'm going to let Tony go first.
Well, I have a local problem that is making noise here. Hey, local problem, why don't you come over here, local problem? Come over here. This is the younger member of my household. That was Victoria. She didn't say hi. You should have said hi. Okay. Now be quiet, or I'll kill you.
Fortunately, this isn't on tape. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, yeah, it is.
Love between a father and a daughter.
That's right.
Something that can't be replaced. It's
Well, that's my favorite. Come here, favorite daughter. Come here. Shh. Shh. Shh.
Come here, silent favorite daughter. But I would.
Favorite daughter. No, don't do that. Don't just say hi to me. Say hi to Mike, because this is the daughter that you did not meet, Mike. This is Victoria.
Hello.
This is my younger baby. This is my 13-year-old. Say hi. Give me a kiss. She's my favorite daughter. At least that's what I tell her to her face. And that's
now,
what
do
I
you
tell
ever
her.
do you ever switch back and forth favorites?
No. What I do is I will talk to one and I will say, you're my favorite. And then, she'll walk away and the other one will come over and I'll say, you're my favorite. So that's what I do.
Divide and conquer. I like it.
Yeah. And I'll actually do it in front of the other one, but I'll wink when I'm saying it, to the one, so they both know they're my favorites. And she's coming back upstairs again when she's been... Anyway, so we're talking about the assistant, and...
Right. And, all right, so getting back to... Dylan is face down on the ground, and for the first time you really get the feeling like his home has just been penetrated by this outside force.
It seemed to me that, again, as I stated at the outset, Dylan basically got his ass kicked all around the house, up and down the stairs, from what I could see. Besides him being assaulted in ways where there should have been a rape kit involved, and I say that because he was just getting hit from every direction. I was amazed that he was able to keep himself in frame, and it was amazing because at one point when Dylan is running, now I saw episode number 10 on Monday morning, and both of you guys watched the show Gotham, right?
Yes.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. There was
It's
a scene.
fucking Batman.
Yes. So there's a scene. There's a couple of scenes where Gordon is running, and they use that same waist up view of somebody running, and I was like, holy shit, they ripped off Dylan, because I had seen Dylan's show in the morning, and then that evening I'm watching Gotham, and it was that same shot. So that amazed me. But yeah, it did seem that an ordinary person could not have survived what Dylan survived in battle.
Well, Dylan isn't an ordinary person, though. Haven't we already established that? Do Time Lords heal or experience damage in a different way than a traditional human, Kelly?
Well, I think there's a strength or a sustainability there. They have 3 hearts, so that probably helps in the process as well.
Now, do they need all 3 hearts in order to survive?
I cannot answer that question.
Okay.
It's a good question.
I do believe we have at least a viewer that we know. It happens to be Laura Norman, and I've got a comment, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Getting back to the lightsaber plunger type thing, Laura says, "This is why I have a gun, 2 machetes, and a bat by my bed. What the hell is up with the DW?" So, and she finished that up with, she sent that to all of us, and she hashtagged it talking ass. So, Laura is one of our visitors. So,
it's catching on. Hashtag talking ass. Use it, folks.
That's right, all the time. Yeah, I'm not sure some of what she's getting at in that, but I think to Mike, to kind of the earlier question in the towards the tail end of the battle where there was the scene where there seemed to be a bigger issue for Dylan. I really think the battle had been going on for a while, and that was the point. I think he just kind of got over the hump at that point of the battle, and then moved on to kind of get under control.
See, what's interesting to me, though, is sort of like how Kelly said, you can almost make a cinematic tie between Dylan Knows and Gotham. I felt in episode 9 in particular...
You mean the assistant. You mean the assistant, not Dylan Knows.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's a Time Lord. Between the assistant and Gotham, I felt like in this particular episode, you could run a whole gamut of cinematic influences. So, for example, something like Paranormal Activity initially, but then as it goes on, it gets into Evil Dead territory, and then when he's face down on the carpet, maybe more like the HBO series Oz.
I see some similarities in the cinematography, at least. I can see that.
And the cinematography was really interesting to me because, like Tony said, he stayed in frame the entire time. So what I'm curious about is, did Dylan do a run-through? I know that the dialogue is entirely improvised, but he had to have done some sort of a walkthrough or struggle through of the house beforehand, wouldn't you think?
I like the term struggle through. I've never heard the term struggle through before, but I think that would have been...
Thank you.
You should coin that or something, 'cause that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty stunning how spot on he was in staying in frame, especially running up the stairs where Tony kind of mentioned that keeping the Jim Gordon kind of cut, but it was like Dylan's like half GoPro or something, because he does a fantastic job of staying in frame.
No, he definitely did, and even when he's on the ground, when he does that face down shot, and he must have been contorted in a way where he was holding the camera out and away from him, but he still stays perfectly in the frame. And it really was genuinely impressive from a cinematography standpoint.
Yeah, and that's like I said at the outset, it really is. I mean, I'm just scared that he's going to hurt himself during one of these episodes.
But even if, all right, I'm not saying that I would advocate anyone hurting themselves, but I feel like while he may be putting himself in harm's way, he is doing it for his art.
But you always have to top what you've done before, and although I know he improvises everything, I know he planned out every move he was going to make before he did it. And let's face it, folks, if you watch episode 9, you see Dylan falling into carpets and falling onto sofas, and he was doing it the right way, but eventually he's going to have to. We've already seen that, so he can't do it again. If there's another battle, he's going to have to do even more, and that's the part that concerns me. Where I've seen people get injured just walking up and down stairs, not trying to film something. Just you put your foot down the wrong way and you fall, and you do an Achilles tendon. So some of the things that he did, plus with the fact, like I said, if you've got to keep yourself in frame, you're holding, and again, Dylan's doing this all with his phone. So he's holding that phone in such a way and keeping himself in frame. So he's actually one arm less of, when you fall, usually your arms go out to protect yourself. But he's not doing that because he's got his phone in his hand.
Well, perhaps there's some sort of a strap-on mechanism he could use.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but I think that might be something to look at. And
well,
I think in terms of him going the extra mile on some of that stuff, the one thing is that really episode 9, and we need to make sure we talk a little bit about episode 10 as well. Episode 9 was fairly free of dialogue because I'm going to assume if you're laying flat on the floor with your face kind of smashed against the carpet, that it might be a little difficult to speak. I don't really have any direct experience with it, but I'm going to kind of assume that you couldn't do a dialogue-rich episode because it might be a little bit awkward. I don't know.
I could see that, possibly. We'll have to test it one day.
Well, as Kelly mentioned, we do have to talk about episode number 10, Graveyard. And here goes my take on episode number 9. It never happened. Episode 9 never happened. I think episode 9 is just a visual representation of the inner turmoil and struggle that Dylan is going through. I think he kind of passed out in episode number 8, because at the end of episode 8, it ends kind of weird, and then he wakes up in the graveyard. We don't know how he got there, but episode 9, that battle, the struggle, was all of his inner turmoil bubbling to the surface, and that's what he's showing us.
That's a very interesting interpretation, Tony. And I don't think my opinion of it is too far off. If you recall, when he's face down on the carpet, he does a count out. And there is a sort of vague sexualization of his character in that moment. And then when he wakes up a minute or so later in the graveyard, to me, I immediately jump to autoerotic asphyxiation. And I believe that he was counting himself out a safe time. Kelly?
I had not done that level of interpretation of it, or so I guess we could put that in the plausible category. But
Are you talking about mine or Tony's theory?
I'm gonna run a lot closer to Tony's theory at this point, remarkably closer to Tony's theory at this point. But the other part is that I'm kind of like I'm all in assistant, so it may have been an actual event as well. But I do like Tony's read on it quite a bit.
And Mike, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, well, you have to remember, too, that where I'm coming from with this, not having the Doctor Who background, I'm sticking to the tripping balls theory. And in going with that, he goes to a graveyard, gets into a little choke play, imagines himself having this battle that could still represent his internal struggles, but then wakes up in the graveyard trying to piece together what happened, and everything is a jumble in his mind.
Um, do either of you watch Big Bang Theory?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so in preparation for tonight's little discussion, I went back and I like to watch some of the older episodes, and so the lovely Brianna comes by, not the young lady that was here earlier, but Brianna comes by and she says, "What you doing?" And she watched an episode of two or two of The Assistant, and her comment to me was, and this is because they all watch Big Bang. Is he eating marijuana? Because he was talking to the cat. The episode that I was watching when Dylan was talking with Jinx, and she wanted to know if Dylan was eating marijuana, and I said no. There's in the first episode, which is parallel to episode number 10, where Dylan wakes up in the grass and he's horizontal.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't even put that together.
So episode 10 brings us back to the beginning a little bit, and I was just watching the Jinx episode, and Brianna thought she was being funny, and it was funny at the time. Is he eating marijuana? And I was like, no, and I explained to her, and basically. She understood what the concept was of, the inner struggle, and like I said in last show, okay, are these memories of his past lives coming back, or is he the Time Lord and is his present life memories coming in because he lost them for some reason? Because everything goes both ways. And again, I think episode number 10 really is a parallel to episode number 1. I think episode number 9 never happened, except in his mind. It's what happened in between episode 8 and 10. And because he's losing time whenever he passes out, like he passed out and he woke up in the graveyard. How did he get there? We don't know. So, but hey, last episode I mentioned some lens flare explosions, which is good, but there was some lens flare. So homage to J.J. Abrams. But
major lens flare.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm not clear on though is Edward G. Org or Edward George or the name, because I was having a hard time understanding what Dylan was saying. But I do know that it's Dylan's son, and he died in 1855 at the age of 23, and it was a third generation or something like that. But I don't know the name, and I don't know if this is a famous person or, hey, we were talking about Dylan getting hurt. He's walking around in graveyards too now, and filming. So, he's kind of trespassing, and he's going into graveyards. I'm really concerned that, one of these days Dylan's going to show up someplace where he shouldn't be, and, bad things can happen.
But at least it'll be on film, so that'll be nice.
Allegedly.
So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I thought, so first of all, shot for shot, episode 1 and episode 10, the start, it was camera angle and everything, so that was actually really cool. And I just think the Edward George, and I don't know, I'm not sure of the name either, but if it is Edward George, that could be interesting too, because there was an Eddie George who was an NFL running back not so long ago, and maybe that was a previous time version of him too.
These are all excellent theories. And just to build off of Tony's or riff off of it a little bit, let's imagine then that he was in the cemetery the entire time, mourning the loss of this person, when he took psychedelic drugs, which led him down this path.
Tripping balls.
Tripping balls. And by the way, if you agree with me, you can hashtag tripping balls theory.
Yeah. Well, why don't the folks do that? We'll see how many see what kind of groundswell you get there.
Hashtag tripping balls theory.
Very interesting because as you guys know, my older daughter she's my favorite, not the one that was here before. And she's into a lot of the things that I'm into, like she watches Z Nation and Defiance and some of the good shows, and she watches some shows more appropriate for her, like actually they all got out of Vampire Diaries, which is a big win for me. But she's a good kid, and
Does she watch Teen Wolf?
Actually, I think she may.
Excellent.
I think she may, because she watches a lot of stuff, but she also watches Project Runway.
I definitely don't watch that, but I will quote Tim Gunn at you all day.
Okay. And
I watch Project Runway. It sounds like me and your teenage daughter watch a lot of the same stuff.
Right, and she wanted me to ask you if Terrence Zudanich is touring with any of the original cast members, and I was like, yeah, Alexa Vega is going to be hanging out, touring. But I brought her down to see A House Is Not a Home, and she picks up well on a lot of stuff. I was trying so hard to get her into The Assistant, and she's like, Dad, this is just not my thing, but she came up with the eating marijuana theory, which is the
which is not dissimilar that far off from mine.
From tripping balls, which is how we bring that back around. But yeah, I mean, interesting thing though. We were all talking last night, and Mike, you had left, and Gerald Webb was hanging out with us and talking, and we got around to talking about The Assistant, and he actually watched an episode with us, and he had nothing bad to say, right, Kel?
That's correct. He had some suggestions in terms. And these are suggestions from somebody who knows a thing or two about putting entertainment together. But nothing bad to say. He had some things that might be worth considering from Dylan's point of view.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I agree, because we could take Battle, for instance. It was 3 minutes and 14 seconds of Dylan getting his ass kicked. Gerald's suggestion was try and keep it 2 minutes or less. Try and get as much information out there as possible, and move things along. I've enjoyed every episode. I've watched every minute, every second of every episode, and multiple times. But I'm a fan of Dylan, so I will do that. But if you want to bring in a new audience, I guess taking that to heart, putting out 2 4-minute episodes. Two 2-minute episodes is only 4 minutes. Just move the story along as quickly as you can in those little bites, and you'll grab people. There's a lot of nuances here that I hope we're picking up. One of the things I would love, and wouldn't this be great? And I kind of checked it out. Was it would be really funny if Dylan got on a string of naming the episodes, and then like if you took the first letter of every episode, like it spelled something out, like "fuck you, Tony," something like that.
Basically, everything I write spells that out eventually. That's kind of a goal I go for.
Wait, hold on. Fuck
Every
you,
email
Tony.
I send, it takes a lot of extra time to write them that way, but it's worth it.
Okay,
Coworkers thought it was strange when the suggestion box had "fuck you, Tony" Day in it.
but the funny thing is, like I'm his biggest supporter here, and not that you don't support Kelly, Mike, but I mean you say things about Kelly and you that are just not
lies.
true.
Wait,
but
when
meanwhile,
have I said something that wasn't true?
okay, wait, hold on. Why don't you read this text I just got from Kelly? We've
Your
seen
phone's
that
not
gag
even
before.
on.
Wait, hold on. Let me turn it on.
Hey, we may have hit a time slip and start to pull Snarkalic Radio into Talking Assistant.
Yeah, we did. No. What
Yeah.
what is Snarkalic Radio? What is that? I have no idea what you're talking about. See,
I think you're confusing this with a different multiverse.
Oh,
yes, that's something that happens someplace other than here. This is a Friday thing. Do you see something that says Snarkalic Radio under my face?
no. Well, that was my point. Is that it felt like that. Never mind.
Yeah, you're getting into. So, hold on a second. I do have Twitter up, and let me take off my glasses so you can see my beautiful brown eyes, people. Aren't they special?
I like them.
I know you do.
you,
So Laura
brown
wants to
eyes.
say that I'm a brown-eyed girl, Kelly. When he's not talking, he looks dead. That's from Laura Norman. Maybe the unseen force dropped him in the cemetery is a comment from Myrna. Myrna says, "What is holding Kelly down? Why can't he move?" And she says, "LOL." Okay, so balls make you trip. Okay. Yes, Myrna. Licking balls makes you trip. That's why we call it tripping balls. See, you could do that because this is not a radio show. I think his ninja cat is on his back. That's what Laura says about Dylan's episode number 9. Haha, heavy cat. And I guess Holly's listening or watching because she also mentioned Talking Assistant. So,
Hashtag talking ass.
Talking Ass. So where do we think this is going at this point? I mean, I think I've got a pretty good theory here where 9 never happened, and I'm thinking there's a possibility that some of these other episodes haven't happened.
Or perhaps they just haven't happened yet. Maybe we're seeing the story out of order.
It's quite possible. They could be hallucinations because,
Because he's tripping balls. Hashtag tripping balls theory.
there's only okay, Kel?
No, it's just I'm just not a tripping balls hashtag guy.
Okay. Because I was going to say that there's a possibility that the only episodes, and I'm trying to think now because this is coming right off the top of my head. Okay, episode number 2, where Dylan's looking for his TARDIS, where we see some modern vehicles. And maybe a couple of views inside of where Dylan lives, where it shows like it's modern time. But the Supermoon episode, I don't know. Well, there's some street lights there, But when he's trespassing on people's properties, he's outside a house. You don't see any modern technology. No, I don't. I think all of the episodes are filmed in the present now. But like I said, I'm still trying to figure out.
That doesn't mean that we're seeing them in the order that they happen, though.
That's true.
That is true. Excuse me. But
maybe he's like a shaman, guiding us on a wave of mescaline and our own subconscious through thoughts and memories that we haven't even had yet.
I can go with that.
I might make you guys seasick now. I'm just trying to think about whether or not you're saying we're not seeing them in the order of which they happened, but they're all happening in, and what I'm saying is the present time.
They can happen in the present time, but that doesn't mean we're seeing it in order. We may not be seeing it in sequential order. It's like a dream, and it's working its way through our subconscious, firing off these memories of things that haven't happened yet.
And I gotcha, and I understand. I'm just trying to figure out what the benefit to the story is of not seeing them in the right sequence right now.
Well, that could be something that we haven't even begun to comprehend yet. Something that's buried so deep in the plot we haven't even reached the apex of the beginning of that story. Hashtag
Cal. hashtag tripping balls. Everything's out of sequence. So if it is out of sequence, how would that happen? How would that be? Wow, this is cool. I might do the radio show like this.
So, okay,
moving around that much, I'm gonna need to lay down.
Don't do that. That would give off a strange air to our audience.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps then, imagine that we're seeing the videos
living in the world.
No, imagine that we're seeing the videos from someone who's found Dylan's phone.
What?
Like, imagine all of this is already, it's present day, but this has all already happened. And someone has picked up Dylan's phone, and they're piecing together the story through the videos contained on his phone and aren't necessarily watching them in order.
I like that angle there. If somebody else has got his phone.
Okay, so the only thing that we're going to have going forward to either confirm or deny what Mike is saying is watching what Dylan wears. Because in the first several episodes, he's wearing, let's face it, an ugly-ass shirt. And then in episodes 9 and 10, he's wearing a different shirt. He's got a tee.
Contemporary tee with the kind of, that probably puts it at least 90s forward, I'd say.
Yeah, it's like a Fabio type T-shirt. But what I'm thinking is I may have to go back and look at all of the episodes and look at the wardrobe to see if there's a change in the wardrobe, because I hadn't noticed it, but I know in the first couple of episodes he's wearing the same. Actually, maybe in the first 4 episodes he's wearing the same shirt.
Well, revisiting the episodes is a worthy task, no matter what.
Absolutely. Good time. Ooh. So, gentlemen, have we wrapped up 9 and 10 for this week's Walking Assistant?
I believe so, because actually the old clock on the wall says there's only about 4 minutes left until something else happens around here, and can't miss that.
Murder.
Zombies, Amish zombies. So anyway, I guess until maybe next week, because we never know if there's going to be more talking assistant or more assistant shows. There'll definitely be more talking assistant as long as there's assistant shows, right?
I believe so.
Yes, I do.
All right, guys. So I guess we'll say goodnight to you. Thank you guys for viewing. Don't forget, on Mondays is when the episodes usually drop. And we're like, what's her name from that movie with James Caan? We're all Dylan's we're all Dylan's #1 fans. Misery. I can't remember the actress's name.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates. You see, Kelly knows her.
Hot.
Hotter than Betty White. So
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Let's see, Kathy Bates, Betty White. I think if I had to, Betty White, dude.
oh.
Wasn't
Take it
Betty
from-
White Liberace's beard at one point?
Uh,
I think she was Maud's beard for a while.
take us out, Mike.
And with that, with Liberace's beard, hashtag tripping balls theory, hashtag talking ass, we're going to leave you in a better state than the way we found you. Face down on the floor.
Okay, folks, thanks.
Good night.